It's finally time I upgrade the storage on my PlayStation 5. If you're going to be doing this yourself, here are the specs of the M.2 SSD that you'll need. Of course, it's a Gen 4 M.2 NVMe SSD of up to 4 terabytes. Make sure it has a read speed of at least 5500 megabytes per second. The two most popular drives are these, the 980 Pro from Samsung and the SN850 from Western Digital. I'll be installing the 1 terabyte 980 Pro today. Sony also recommends you get a heatsink that's less than 25 millimeters wide and also less than 11 millimeters in thickness. I picked up these two and I'm not sure if they're gonna work and fit, but I will leave a link in the description of a heatsink that I know works for sure. Other than the SSD and heatsink, all you're gonna need is a standard number 1 Phillips screwdriver. So let's get started. Step 1, open up your SSD and install it into the heatsink. This is pretty simple for most heatsinks. The one I picked up here, I think it's a little bit bulky, so it might not fit the PS5, but check the description for the one that I know fits for sure. Step number 2 is to remove the stand on your console and open up the faceplate. Now, taking the faceplate off is probably the trickiest step in the process, so if you can do this, you'll breeze through everything else. Have the console sitting in front of you in this position, so the side with the PlayStation logo is facing down and the disc side is facing up. The front of the console should be facing away from you, and what you're going to want to do is pull the bottom left corner up right here and slide the cover off to the left. And there we go. That's really the only tricky step. Step number 3 is to remove this cover so you have access to the SSD slot. You're going to also want to remove this screw and washer because we'll be using that to fasten our SSD to the console. Step number 4 is to install the SSD. Now, as I feared, this heatsink does not fit. It's too wide and it's also too thick. I mean, I can install it here even though it's a bit of a struggle. I won't, however, be able to put this cover back on, so we'll leave that off for now. And I'll for sure be returning this heatsink and getting something else that works. Once you have the console back together, just plug it back in with the power and your TV. Turn it on and immediately you see this screen asking you to format the M.2 SSD. The only option to proceed here is to actually format it, so go ahead and select that option and it only takes a few seconds. Your M.2 SSD has been formatted. That's basically it. We're up and running and you're ready to use your new external SSD. Now, a couple of notes here. Number 1, you can go into the settings and then storage and actually make the SSD your default installation location. Number 2, moving your games back and forth between the internal and external storage is pretty fast and easy. You once again go to the settings, into storage, select the drive you want to move games from. So in this case, it's really the internal storage to start off. Select the game you want to move and just click move. I'm going to move Deathloop to test out the speed. This is about a 28 gigabyte game and it only takes about 25 seconds to move it from the internal storage to the external SSD. Now, moving the same game back the other way takes a little bit longer. That's about 2 minutes and 5 seconds. I want to do the same test with a much larger move, so I went ahead and selected all the games I have, totaling about 320 gigabytes. Let's see how long that takes. Moving it from the PS5 storage to the external SSD took a little over 5 minutes. And the same move, 350 gigabytes back to the PS5 internal storage, was of course much longer. That took about 24 minutes. So yeah, moving items to the external SSD seems to be pretty fast compared to if you want to go the other way back to the internal storage. In terms of games, here's some gameplay of the PS5 titles. All the games run really well on the external drive. Upgrading the storage is really a must for all PS5 owners, especially if you have a digital console. Now, I might do some more speed and performance tests comparing different SSDs, different heatsinks. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel.